Okay, now a friend of mine asked me, how can you determine the number of blocks needed to construct a building when the building has columns in between walls, when you have columns planted inside the walls? So how can you determine the number of blocks needed, considering that those columns are actually replacing positions where blocks were supposed to be placed? And I said it is possible to determine it using Aegis block estimator. So this video is going to give us a typical illustration of how to determine the number of blocks needed to construct a project, or to construct a building or a perimeter fence or any project when you have columns inside the walls. So without wasting much time, you click on the app and then it brings you to this page where you select the unit. So we click on metrics. If you are using Imperial, you could also click Imperial. So click on metrics, and then it brings us to this page, the input page, where you feed in the parameters of the building or of the project that you are about to construct. So this is the plan that we want to use. This is a perimeter fence plan. A perimeter fence that is to be constructed on a plot of land measuring 30,000 mm by 15,000 mm. Now, to determine the number of blocks needed to construct this perimeter fence, this is how you do it. You sum up the 30,000 here and the 15,000 mm here, the 30,000 mm here, and the 15,000 mm here. Sum them up together and it will give you 90,000 mm. That is the perimeter of the plot of land, the perimeter of the fence. Okay, now if you can, just as you can see here, we have columns placed at strategic points, in this case at regular interval of 3 meters, and the column has a dimension indicated here of 300 by 300. So which means you are having 300 mm removed from the wall between here and here. The column is replacing the blocks we are supposed to have there. So how do you now determine the positions, the total positions where columns are replacing blocks on this perimeter fence? It is easy. Now how you do that is this: you count the total number of columns we have here, with exception to this and this. Reason being that those two columns are actually special columns that are made to serve as supports for the doors that we are going to install, or that the contractor is going to install on this driveway to serve as access into the plot of land. Okay, so when you count the number of columns needed here, or the number of columns on this plan, starting from here in that direction all through to this end up to here, you have 28 columns. So how do you now determine the total length of positions where columns are on this perimeter fence? You take this unit, this measurement here, which is 300 mm, multiply it by 28. It will give you 8,400 mm. So for you to now determine the total positions where you are going to have block work constructed, or where you are going to construct with block, is going to be 90,000 mm minus 8,400. Then you also come here considering the driveway of 3,150. You subtract it also from the 90,000 mm, and then this column here, which is 450, you also subtract it from the 90,000. And when you do that, it will bring you, or give us, a value of which is 78,000 mm. And then you now go back to the app and feed in that information. The length, the total length that we need to construct block work is going to be 78,000 mm. Now this is also applicable to buildings. If in a case where we are considering, if for instance we're considering a building, what you need to do here at that point is just determine the cross-sectional width of the column based on the plan, and then multiply it by the total number of columns on that building, and then whatever you get, subtract it also from the length of building, and then whatever you get, feed it into this position, which is for the length of the building, and that will take care of everything that you need. So in this case, we have done all our subtractions, and it gave us a total perimeter of 78,000 mm. So just take that value and put it on the column where, or on the cell where we have the length of the building, which is 78,000, and then you come to the height of the building, assuming that the height of the block of the perimeter fence is 2,400 mm. So you enter 2,400 mm, and then every other column you enter 0, here 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Then here you determine what is the thickness, that is the building block thickness. What's the thickness of the block that we are using to construct the perimeter fence or the building? So in this case, let's say 150 mm. And then when you enter that, it now brings us to the mortar mix. So you have the mortar mix ratio, which is usually in 1 to 8 or 1 to 10 or 1 to 12. So in this case, let's assume it is 1 to 10. Then that 1 there represents bags of cement. 1 bag of cement to 10 headpans of sand. So you have 1 bag of cement to 10 headpans of sand. When you do that, you click on done and you click calculate value. It brings you to the result page. So in this case, you have the total number of blocks needed for that perimeter fence is 4,068 blocks. Then the total volume of mortar needed to lay the entire blocks is 15 meter cube. The number of bags of cement needed to lay the entire blocks is 71 bags. Then the total number of single tripper truckload of sand needed to lay the 4,068 blocks is 4 trips. 4 trips. And you can see with the help of Aegis block estimator, you can actually determine the number of blocks needed for your project that has columns planted at strategic points in the walls. Thank you.